Robert Minton, recently profiled on Dateline A&E in 2020. We'll talk about shooting Scientologists, getting arrested by... No. Sorry.
Before the internet, it was Scientology, the applied religious philosophy founded in 1950. And since the internet, it's become Scientology, the cult that believes in space aliens and XENU. And that's really because of the availability of certain illegal advanced materials on the internet.
Don't look at Grady.
We should all look at
This is a historic event. The very fact that we are here as the first conference of a new cult awareness organization is an incredible milestone. And I want to start by asking you all to give the Cult Info Board of Directors and yourselves a hand for the fact that we're all here. You need to be aware that this conference has been open to all who were interested in coming. No one was prevented from coming who expressed interest in participating. Not everyone at this conference shares your views or my views about totalistic groups. You need to be aware of that and consider that as you have individual conversations, particularly if you're going to be talking about your personal situation at a meal table or in the hallway or anywhere in the hotel.
On the internet, the Scientologists back in March of 1998 distributed software programs to Scientologists so that they could get out there and set up their own web page in the easy manner that Grady Ward has offered to do for anybody here who would like that to happen. However, one of the interesting facts about the Church of Scientology's special software that they gave to their members to set up these web pages was that it also installed onto their computer systems a censoring and filtering device that prohibited those members from the Church of Scientology to find any sites critical on the internet about Scientology. Now, this is all part of controlling information. Within their own organization, they censor what their members can actually see. It's like putting blinders on when you go onto this vast internet. Now, Scientology would like to tell everybody that, well, we just don't want all this in theta thrown on everybody, thrown on our members when they go out there on the internet. But my answer to that is this is purely an attempt by Scientology to continue to control the flow of information. They cannot control it in the real world, but within the world of Scientology, they do have that capacity by insisting that people use this special software to go out and roam the internet. And so I am very proud to have been censored at least 5 times in the Sinocitter software. And I am happy that no Scientologist can actually go out there and find information about me on the internet because a lot of it is not very colorful. Or it's too colorful.
I think it's actually a very colorful belief system. I think whenever a science fiction writer can come up with extragalactic aliens and inhabiting your body with body things that need to be audited off very expensively, I think that's a very colorful. It enriches our culture. It really does. It enriches our culture to have more mythology, and so I really support their position. No, I'm not being wry here. I mean, I really do think it is colorful. I mean, I don't think it's any more or less legitimate than other religions because I'm not a religious guy. But the illegality, the fraud, the concealing from the new members what is there, that's what I object to. That's all. If they were to somehow, and I don't think it's possible, but if somehow it could be changed so that they didn't, fraud was not part of their belief system, then I think the war of the internet would be over as far as Scientology was concerned.
Germany is doing everything they can to stop organizations like Scientology because they can recognize the characteristics of another Nazi party. Scientology is striving for a different society in which every non-Scientologist will be managed by the Scientology leaders of tomorrow with what they consider to be superior methods. Scientology wants to establish its own legal system that is binding upon everyone with Scientology standards but without any guarantee of the course of law, without the due process of law, without lawful and independent judges, and without lawful administration. Scientology disregards human rights and the principles of equality, since only cleared non-aberrant Scientologists are entitled to enjoy rights.
Okay, boom, done. This is what a Scientology society would actually look like. This is what people living in a Scientology society would be like. Yet the U.S. government has yet to recognize this insidious danger. Boom.
To Germans.
Over to the
No,
Germans.
I disagree. The transition is that the Germans have intensively studied what Scientology, and this is what they see as a Scientology world, and then go into that.
Well, that's good too. You need to say that too, but you need to do a little bit of an end, a denouement about this whole thing you just spent pages and pages talking about, the soul of a Scientologist, what a Scientologist is really like, the kind of damage that Scientology perpetrates on people. This is,
Okay.
you need to do something like that.
Okay, fine, okay. I got you.
See what I mean?
Okay, sit down, let me finish reading.
Sorry,
That's good.
sorry. Doing this for a week.
Otherwise, we're never going to get anything done. Based upon such a careful analysis, can you see why it is that Germany has been wise enough to see Scientology for what it is? They have made the effort to understand it. In the United States, we have the Wall Street Journal on February 24th, 1998, questioning the methods used by Scientology to gain tax-exempt status. The journal suggested an auditing session for Scientology, starting out with a question as to how the vast sums of money spent by Scientology on litigation and to harass critics meets the IRS requirements for a 501c3 corporation to spend its funds for charitable purposes.
The internet needs to spearhead this educational effort. If people on the internet can really understand what this is, they can do a lot to get the United States government to listen to this danger.
Yeah,
But
the problem
other
is
thing
that the people on the internet are not able to explain it or understand it, and therefore cannot cause action to take place.
Right, and the other thing you need to do is, why hasn't the U.S. gone to the same trouble that Germany has gone to understand this, right? Our U.S. media has begun to address this issue, and our government needs to listen. Because, you go into the U.S. isn't doing anything, and then the next thing you say is, the Wall Street Journal said this really cool thing, the New York Times said this really cool thing, blah, 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 the Boston Globe said this really cool thing, and it's kind of like, well, wait a minute, those are U.S. media. What do you mean the U.S. isn't doing anything? But what you mean is the U.S. government isn't doing anything. Despite the fact that our own media has now begun to
Yeah, but I'm not sure that, I'm not sure that I'm really asking the government to do anything. I don't believe much
Well,
in
who are you
government.
asking to do? I mean, you're saying, look what Germany's doing. How come the U.S. can't? Yes, you are.
I guess.
You are.
Okay.
I think we ought to do I think we ought to do the Germany thing. Then we ought to do Greece and Spain.
29 convicted in Milan. Patrick Vick, negligent, involuntary homicide, conviction, leader of Scientology.
In France, yeah, etc.
Country after country, Canada, the largest libel award in history.
What about the U.S.?
Criminal conviction in Canada.
Where is the United States?
The whole attitude in the United States towards fringe religious movements, which they like to call themselves, and which the United States government more or less agrees with, has radically shifted in the last 25, 30 years. It's completely shifted.
To what?
It's shifted to a laissez-faire type approach.
Right, well, that's what you need to say. You need to say, hey, this laissez-faire attitude needs to stop. The U.S. government is buying the slick public image. Even our own media, even our own Wall Street Journal and New York Times.
They're not buying the slick public image.
The government is.
No, but not the media.
Sorry, not the media.
Even our media. No, I'm saying even our own media is starting to point this out.
Sorry, yeah, okay.
And that's basically, then boom, okay, cool.
Okay. Well,
The government's in the attached bathroom in the Oval Office.
why doesn't this committee
Adjourn.
adjourn and, a small working group set up?
A task force. We're going to
A
set up a small task
a
force.
task force of 20. Scientology dislikes the internet. It dislikes FactNet. It dislikes me, and it dislikes this conference. Scientology has virtually unlimited funds. They boast of spending $1 million a week to pay high-priced attorneys and private investigators to intimidate and harass critics and former members. Their cynicism and relentless vindictiveness knows no boundaries. and they will stop at nothing to destroy anyone who tries to stand in their way. In Greece last week, the press reported that Scientology had obtained military intelligence secrets from the Greek government following Greece's expulsion of Scientology. Following a statement by Scientology President Heber Jensch in Denmark last week that Scientology would be fully accepted in Europe during the next 5 to 10 years, Spanish officials the very next day, in their ongoing prosecution against Scientology, have requested 30 years of jail time for Mr. Jensch. Perhaps one day plus 30 years from now, Mr. Jensch will also be accepted in Europe. Scientology is both a menace to our society and to our way of life. In closing, I would like to quote from a review of the book Dianetics. The review was written by Milton Saperstein and published in The Nation in 1950. I first noticed this quote in the Washington Post on December the 6th, 1998, when Richard Leiby wrote about Lisa McPherson's life and death in Scientology. I was very taken by Saperstein's grasp of this evil 48 years ago. And I quote, "The real, and to me, the inexcusable danger in Dianetics lies in its conception of the amoral, detached, 100% efficient mechanical man, superbly free-floating, unemotional, and unrelated to anything. This is the authoritarian dream, a population of zombies, free to be manipulated by the great brains of the founder, the leaders of the inner manipulative clique. The entire counter-cult community exists to ensure that this message continues to be heard. I personally am proud to be a part of this movement and to count you as my friends. Thank you for attention to my remarks tonight."
I think did particularly well during the question.
People were
That's
quiet.
the ad-lib part.
Yeah.
That's the part where you can't.
People were quiet, noticed very quiet,
Yeah.
and they were very attentive. I think you really, you got their attention. Oh, he's a joker. I was just, he's got to go bend a few spoons before bed every night.
And there were a number of questions. And people that aren't interested don't ask questions.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I got you good
It
stuff.
was, I think a good word for it was spellbound. The audience was spellbound.
Well, some powerful stuff
It's
there.
very quiet. Very few people moved around or anything.
But this
Everybody was attentive.
has not tried to learn Scientology.
Right.
I mean, I would come to these meetings when I was, in all that litigation, and people would walk away from me,
Right.
pretend they didn't see me,
I
because
know, blame the victim.
I was, if they talk to me, maybe they get tainted too, maybe
Right,
they get
exactly.
sued too.
No, no,
Right,
that's,
well, yeah, absolutely.
It's typical.
I think you're absolutely right.
Take far more than 4 minutes to do a rebuttal about that. You know that? It'd take far more than 4 minutes.